everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Cho.
And I'm Cameron Word.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new month of Power English. It is June.
It is.
That's right.
We're really getting into summer mode now.
We sure are. After this month, we're halfway through the year.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And remember, over the weekend, we talked about comedy?
Yes.
It's so fitting that I didn't realize that I had that article. And my preface, my letter that I write at the beginning is about comedy and my love for comedy.
Yeah, you must have been in a good mood.
Well, no, I think that these days we need comedy.
Yeah.
Because it's just the world is depressing. You know, we need a laugh. This is why I love coming to the studio and seeing you and sharing conversation
Yeah.
and having a laugh.
Having a nice, bright time when sometimes our lives are not nice
So bright.
and bright.
Yeah, that's right.
It's definitely very important.
All right. So, of course, everyone, welcome. If you are new to the program, on Monday, every Monday is a food dialogue. So we talk about all things food. And this month, the title is The Caterers. Catering.
Yes.
Yeah. So the person owns a catering business.
Yes.
Okay. And the client wants a wedding reception and they are catering the food and they want a seafood buffet.
Oh, that sounds like a bad idea.
In summer.
In June.
Yeah, gotta
all
careful.
Of those clams just out there in the summer heat.
Yeah.
Does not sound like a smart idea.
I don't know, but maybe, they really love seafood. Maybe.
Well, I'm from a place that we don't get a lot of seafood.
Right.
So if we do, it is not in a buffet format at all.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we shall see how this goes.
All right. Okay, here are some expressions that we're going to cover today. If there is wiggle room, W-I-G-G-L-E, what kind of room are we talking about?
You have a little bit of extra room.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not doing an exact amount or making an exact amount of space.
Yeah.
You're giving some extra room just in case you're a little wrong.
Okay. And we'll give you more examples. We'll see how it is used in our dialogue. If you say first things first.
Yes.
So does that mean it's just first?
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
You're just emphasizing first. We often use this when we're starting a conversation, that there are going to be several things we ask, several things we order or command.
Right.
And we're saying, okay, this is the first of maybe many other things.
Okay, so first things first. So to start off, it's similar to that.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to talk about many things after. Okay, come into contact.
So come into contact, in this case, is going to be talking about touching something. Either you are touching something, or two things are touching each other.
Okay, very good. Let's see how these expressions are used in our food dialogue.
Has the menu for the Johnson wedding party been finalized yet?
The Johnsons want a seafood buffet, but we have a lot of wiggle room because up to a quarter of the guests won't eat seafood.
So, first things first, we have to consider seafood allergies. I'll look at the most common allergens among seafood.
Right. Some people can't even come into contact with certain things.
Once we know what won't be on the seafood buffet, we can decide what to order.
I guess I'll work on the non-seafood menu items.
Okay, so please join us on page 8. And by the way, everyone, we do have a book that comes with this program. So on page 8, you can find the Power Dialogue. The Caterers, a seafood buffet. Let's begin. Marco says, has the menu for the Johnson wedding party been finalized yet? I feel like this is a great word, to be finalized. We hear it a lot in the business, in the office.
Yes. And I actually heard from someone from the UK.
Yeah.
Originally, maybe not anymore, it feels very American.
Ah, really?
Because English already had the phrase, to make final.
To make final.
Right? Talking about making a final decision.
Right.
But taking the word final, adding eyes to it.
Like making a verb?
Yeah, making
Finalize.
a verb from a noun was a very American thing they said.
All right. So it means that, okay, is everything all set? Is it complete? And Julia says, the Johnsons want a seafood buffet, but we have a lot of wiggle room because up to a quarter of the guests won't eat seafood. Okay, two things. They have a lot of wiggle room. Yeah? And the reason is that, a fourth, maybe like 25% of the guests, they don't like seafood.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it when you say, I have a lot of wiggle room? Are they talking about an actual room?
So not room as in a space that you go through a door and get into.
Yeah.
The original meaning does come from extra space, though.
Okay, so it's referring more to space.
Yes.
Space. Okay.
So think about whenever you have younger children whose bodies are growing and you go to buy shoes.
Yeah.
You cannot buy the exact shoe size.
Oh, they will grow. They can only wear it for 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So you buy it a little bit bigger and you ask them to wiggle their toes.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Can they move their toes really freely? Because you want the extra wiggle room so that even if their feet get a little bit bigger, they can still wear the shoes.
Right.
In the same way, with this buffet on the menu, if they only have seafood, exactly what the Johnsons want, 25% of the guests
don't eat seafood.
Will not be able to eat.
Right.
So they need extra options in this menu for people that maybe don't want a lot of seafood.
So basically what she's saying is that we can kind of we have some flexibility with the menu.
Yes.
That's what she's saying. So
not
it's
a lot, but a little bit.
Okay. So we can have seafood, but we can have other things too.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So what does Marco say?
So first things first, we have to consider seafood allergies. A look at the most common allergens among seafood.
Okay. So setting up a seafood buffet is going to take a lot of work, a lot of steps. That's why I feel Marco is saying, so first things first. Okay, let's think about this first. This is very important.
Right. There are several things that they're now going to be thinking about. So Marco was saying, okay, this is the first thing, probably because it's the most important or biggest issue.
Yeah.
So he's just highlighting it with this phrase, first things first.
First things first, okay? And so there are allergies, right? And I'll look at the most common allergens among seafood. So allergies sound very close to allergens. Is it the same thing?
So an allergy is the symptom you have. Like your eyes getting watery, your nose stuffing, maybe you get a rash on your skin. An allergen is the thing that causes the reaction. So pollen in spring is an allergen.
Yes.
And
that causes an allergy.
That causes an allergy, that causes an allergic reaction.
So when Marco says, I'll look for the most common allergens, is saying, let me look at what people have the most allergies to.
Yeah, usually it's like shellfish.
Yeah.
Shrimp.
Oysters.
Oysters.
It is true. Shellfish is high on the list of allergens. Okay, so then Julia says, right, some people can't even come into contact with certain things. Okay, to come into contact with is a long expression, which means they can't touch.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes.
It's a real, if you want to say it simply.
Yes. So come into contact. We can also talk about be in communication with someone.
Like an alien?
Yeah. Right. Like the movie Contact.
Yeah.
With Jodie Foster.
Right. To come in contact with aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
Here, though, we're talking about literal touch. Your finger touching a shrimp. Or a knife touching a shrimp. And then you touching that knife.
Yeah.
That would be coming into contact with the shrimp. And if you have a very bad allergy, that could be very bad for your health.
Well, that's right. People, like, even with peanut allergies, too. Like, serious peanut allergies, if they come into contact, they could die.
Or, like, even the dust. Like, peanut dust.
Yes.
They just accidentally smell a little bit of it.
It could be fatal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to come into contact with, think of aliens, okay? Marco says, once we know that won't be on the seafood buffet, we can decide what to order. So our power pattern is once we know. It's a great pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it set up what you're going to say?
Yeah, so they have to make a decision, but before they can make the decision, they have to know some type of information.
Right.
Here, what they need to know is what they can't order.
Yeah.
Once we know the bad things from the remaining good things, then we can decide our final. We can finalize the menu.
Yeah. So basically, this is saying once we have that information, then we can go forward.
Yes.
So we can say, like, once we know who's coming, then we can order the food. All right. Let's go ahead and listen to this one more time.
Has the menu for the Johnson wedding party been finalized yet?
The Johnsons want a seafood buffet, but we have a lot of wiggle room because up to a quarter of the guests won't eat seafood.
So, first things first, we have to consider seafood allergies. I'll look at the most common allergens among seafood.
Right. Some people can't even come into contact with certain things.
Once we know what won't be on the seafood buffet, we can decide what to order.
I guess I'll work on the non-seafood menu items.
It's time for Power Note. We're on pages 10 and 11. So wiggle room is a very fun word, okay? And by the way, wiggle is spelled W-I-G-G-L-E.
Yes.
Okay. Wiggle, actually. When you wiggle, what are you doing?
You're kind of shaking your body, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, wiggling. Okay, so it means extra space, extra time, some flexibility.
Yes.
The deadline is tight, but we have a little wiggle room if needed.
Good, because I think we need at least 3 more days to finish.
So when you're talking about deadlines, like it's tomorrow is a deadline, but if someone says, oh, we have a little wiggle room, it means there's a little flexibility.
Yeah, you can move that date back a little bit.
That's it, okay? Jane left some wiggle room in his budget for unexpected expenses.
Yeah, so it can be money.
So what does that mean?
This means there's a little bit of extra money.
Spare money?
Spare money. Maybe eggs are really expensive this week.
Yeah.
Okay, we can spend more on the eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, not a ton of extra money, but a little bit. So we've talked about schedules having wiggle room. You can have your budget money.
Yeah.
Clothing can have wiggle room, like the shoes we talked about.
Right. Or, I mean, really, like, I think as you get older, you don't like things that are really tight. You want a little wiggle room for a lot of women. Or
Right.
Right.
For sure. Or I have this happen sometimes. I get in a friend's car, and maybe I'm in the back.
Yeah.
I have very long legs.
Right.
So sometimes I don't have any wiggle room.
Oh, my, it must be so uncomfortable, Ken.
Yeah, I can't move in the back. So you can ask this question. I hear it often. Do you have enough wiggle room?
Back there.
Back there, for example. Like, is there enough space for you back there?
Well, Cameron, it seems that because of your long legs and your height, you're going to have to probably get a ride in much bigger cars or sit in the front.
It's okay. I'm used to it now. I'm collapsible. I'm a foldable person.
All right, so there's wiggle room. First things first, okay. This means that this is the most important thing first, and we have to talk about it before we talk about other things.
Yes.
Do you want me to collect wood and start a fire?
First things first, let's set up the tents before it gets dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you arrive in the evening, first things first, you have to set up the tent.
It's true. Once the light is gone,
forget it.
It's so much harder.
It is. The flashlight, you could have a flashlight, but it's harder. First things first, Emma had to finish her homework before going to the party.
Yes.
Yeah. So a parent may say, first things first.
Yeah.
You know, do your homework before you go.
You must do this before doing anything else. I will say sometimes native speakers don't always say this with a lot of meaning. Mm-hmm. Like if you're starting a meeting, for example, it's kind of just like saying, "자." You know?
Yeah.
You're just going to start talking, but if you just start talking, it feels kind of empty.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, everybody, first things first, let's...
자, 여러분. Yeah. It's so true. It's one of those sort of like introductory, transitional sort of phrases that you kind of put in between.
Yeah, just to connect from silence
to...
talking.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, or you could say, let's start off with. There are many ways to say it, and this is just one of them. Alrighty. Very good. Come into contact with means to physically touch or interact with something or someone. What is that rash on Sarah's face and arms?
She came into contact with poison ivy during her hike.
Ooh, you gotta watch for those plants. Poisonous plants.
Poison ivy.
When you go hiking, it is true, there's a lot of poison ivy.
That's true.
So I would never wear shorts. Unless there were like no plants.
Yeah.
It was just like a hill and just, gravel and no plants. That's okay.
Yeah, hiking, there's poison ivy, poison oak. There are...
Rattlesnakes. In California, there's so many rattlesnakes. Ticks. Oh, yeah.
We have something...
Fleas.
We have something where I'm from called chiggers.
What's that?
They're tiny bugs, and they get in every fold in your body.
Are they flies?
No, they're not flies.
What are they?
They're like tiny, tiny ticks. They suck your blood.
They're ticks?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I got them really bad one summer.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, you gotta watch out when you're hiking, not to come into contact with those type of things.
Yes, very much so. Okay. The scientist was excited to come into contact with an ancient artifact.
Here it just means discover, really.
Yeah, to discover. That's right. To come
Much like the alien example.
Yeah.
To come in. You aren't maybe touching the aliens.
Yeah.
But you're discovering them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Once we know is our power pattern, which means, okay, if we have this info, then we can move on to the next step. Mm-hmm. Once we know what she ate, we will know why she is sick.
Once we know when our holiday is, we can book our flights and hotels.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to know the date.
Yeah.
Before you can do anything else.
That's right. You got to set the date.
Yep.
Okay. Our power vocab is the word allergen. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners know the word allergy. Check out the definition of allergen on page 12. And stop by Audio 어학당.
Yes, we have so many great English language shows for you to check out. Of course, ours are very, very good.
Oh, very, very good. And make sure to stop by at 6 p.m. evening special.
Yes.
That's right. We're going live today, so we'll see you a little bit later. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.